there, welcome to Talk to Me Tuesday on a Tuesday, every Tuesday from 3 to 4. I'm your host, Madi B, and today I have the pleasure of having two awesome attorneys beside me. I have Attorney Darren Miller.
Good afternoon.
And I have Attorney Paul Skrabanek.
Hello.
So today we're going to be talking about a very sad topic today, the MGM Las Vegas shooting in Las Vegas, Nevada, to where 58 people passed away and more than 700 people were injured. So on behalf of D. Miller & Associates and Pierce Skrabanek, PLLC, we'd like to take a moment of silence. Thank you. So I would like to go ahead and introduce to you guys the attorneys that are going to be speaking to you guys on any question that you guys may have. So I want to open up those lines of communication for any question that you might have on the recap of the litigation, any type of litigation questions. If you don't have any information, please ask these attorneys that are very well educated on this topic. So I want to open up those lines of communication for you guys. You can send us a direct message. If not, load them up below, or you can also give us a call at that 713-850-8600. So I would like for you guys to tell our viewers a little bit about yourself, your experience, where you're from, where you went to school, so that they can get to know you a little bit better. We'll go ahead and start with Paul.
Sure. My name is Paul Skrabanek. I'm a native Texan. Grew up in Tomball, Texas, actually, and ended up going to the University of Houston. Followed in my parents' footsteps there. Both my parents graduated there. I ended up getting a couple of degrees from the University of Houston, one in physics and the other in political science. Did some work in politics for a little while, and then went back to law school at South Texas College of Law. Been practicing for about 10 years now.
Wow. Like I said, every time on my show, you guys are in good hands. That's a lot of degrees right there. So that's awesome. You guys are in good hands with Attorney Paul. Definitely in good hands. And he's from Tomball, Texas. Went to the University of Houston. So for all of my locals that are watching, and even you guys from Las Vegas, California, and surrounding areas as well that are watching. So how about Attorney Darren Miller? Let our viewers know a little bit about yourself, where you're from and where you went to school.
Sure. I actually was born in London, England, but I've been over here since I've been about 10 years old. Grew up in West Houston, went to Texas A&M University. After that, I got my MBA from the University of St. Thomas in finance. Then I went to Thurgood Marshall School of Law, and I've been practicing law for about 19 years.
Wow, that's awesome. 19 years. You remember it like it was yesterday, I bet. And how many years have you been practicing law?
It'll be 10 years this year.
Wow, 10 years. Again, in good hands. So I want to definitely open up those lines of communication for you guys for any questions that you may have for these awesome attorneys. I want to go ahead, before we get started, I want to ask Attorney Darren Miller, why is it that your law office, D. Miller & Associates, got involved in this litigation? I don't know if you have an actual story or something that pretty much hit home, so that our viewers can kind of know what your involvement is.
Well, what happened, I heard about it, I'm sure much like a lot of you guys did out there, on television and through the internet with regards to looking at that information. Then a couple of days later, after hearing about the tragedy, we were contacted by one of our clients, actually their sister. And she was there, and I spoke with her about the situation, and she kind of gave me her kind of firsthand account as to what she went through. She was actually a worker. She was working the venue that day. And so I was actually going down there for the Mass Tort Convention, and so I said, hey, well, let's meet, and let's talk about it. And when I met with her, it was, when you talk with somebody on the phone, you certainly get one opinion, but when I sat and talked with her in person, I mean, she couldn't keep it together when she was discussing the issues. She was very emotional about it. She actually had a video on her phone, and she showed me this video. I mean, just running around, scared, the gates being locked. She didn't know what was going on. At one point, she was even sending messages to her kids, like saying video, I love you kids, because I don't know whether I'm going to see you again, because people are getting killed all around her. And she doesn't know what she's doing. And so I made that decision right then and there after hearing about that we're going to get involved in this. And not only just because it's the right thing to do, but I love Vegas. Just like everybody else. I go there to have a great time.
Yeah.
But there were so many issues that I had concerns about, not only just for the general public, but for me. I like to go there. I like to play poker. I love to visit my friends there. And at that particular point in time, I didn't know how safe it was or what the situation was. So I made the decision that we are going to get involved. We're gonna find out what's going on here. We're gonna take on this challenge.
That's awesome. And I know D. Miller and Associates also has joined forces with Pierce and Skrabanek PLLC. So talk to the viewers the same question. Why is it that you guys got involved in the litigation?
I'd echo Darren's comments about it. You seeing this footage on TV and it being in your face and it being compelling, and you feeling for these people and wanting to do something, use your skill set as a lawyer to help out. So when Darren called us, our firm and his firm worked together quite a bit. We said, we do think we have a unique kind of skill set because my firm does these kind of mass injury type of litigation. We've done this in the past. We've been successful in the past. And I said, how can we help? How can we help out these folks?
Yeah, well, that's awesome because you have two attorneys that are here beside me that are just wanting to help and making sure that you guys have all the information that are represented very well as well. So just to talk a little bit about what happened. So just 7 months ago today is when that concert happened on Sunday, October 1st. It was a concert, Route 91 Harvest Music Festival. I don't know how many attendees there were, but I've seen pictures and there were so many people. But that was 7 months ago. Do you guys remember that, seeing that on the news and everything being Vegas strong? And it happened after our catastrophe here in Houston, also Hurricane Harvey. So there was just a lot on the news. So what is y'all's take on that?
You know what, Marty? I mean, I can't imagine that you take the time, you're having fun with your friends, and then you hear this, what sounds like fireworks, and then people are getting killed all around you. I mean, I just can't imagine what that feeling would be like.
Yeah.
I remember being at home and CNN coming on and saying there's been a shooting, there's potential mass casualties, and I'm thinking, is this another terrorist attack? What's going on here? And I mean, remember being glued to the TV nonstop for hours on end to see what's going on. It's just the casualty after casualty kept mounting up, and it's tragic.
Yeah, very sad topic, and we're definitely here to hear your stories and your questions as well. Any questions that you guys may have. I know I have one right now coming from Tina, so thank you, Tina, for joining in. Tina's saying, I wasn't actually shot that night, but I was there, and I still have nightmares about what happened. Do I have a case? And I'm going to repeat that question. I like to repeat it just because these are a little bit more lengthy. So I wasn't actually shot that night, but I was there, and I still have nightmares about what happened. Do I have a case?
Yes, Tina, you have a legitimate claim. It's what we would call a post-traumatic stress disorder type of claim, a mental injury, if you would. And you definitely have a claim. You should definitely consult with someone that's involved, like the two of us, with this litigation to help present your claim and have it heard.
Yeah.
And just to add to what Paul has said there, because we're getting these calls all the time. Some of the clients have their own doctors. They have their own people that they consult with. Others, of course, don't have help there. Get in touch with us. Let us know what the situation is. If you need help and you can substantiate that you are there and you're needing some assistance, we can help you get the help that you need.
And we'll definitely follow up with you, Tina, as well. But if you guys definitely have any additional questions, that number 713-850-8600 for Tina. How does this process work? If someone hasn't been represented and they just have a question of if they have a case, how does it work in the office as far as what's the next protocol?
What we're typically doing in situations like that, we get lots of questions like that. I spoke with a young gentleman over the weekend, Stephen, who had very similar questions. Myself, Paul, whoever, some of the staff members will take those calls, as well as our intake staff. If there are specific issues that you need to speak with an attorney about, certainly we can do that. Nights, weekends, whatever the concern is, let us know. This is a very different type of litigation. This isn't a regular car accident. It's a very different situation, and we're handling it that way. So if you need to speak with us, if you believe your concerns are that big that you need to speak with an attorney, let us know. We're not going to obviously charge you anything, of course. We want to answer your questions initially, make sure that we're all on the same page, and then we can talk about how we can get you help, address your questions, and just kind of go from there.
And to my knowledge, you guys are available for the client. So you guys actually speak to the client as well.
Absolutely we do.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Paul
Paul does.
One of the biggest complaints across the board with lawyers is the lack of communication with the client. And with respect to the MGM set of cases that Darren and I are working on, I've set up a protocol in my office that a lawyer on our team that's working on these cases, whether it be me, whether it be one of the other 2 or 3 lawyers at my office working on it, call our entire docket of people on a weekly basis, actually. So I want to know what they're doing. I want to know how they're doing. I want to know, are you getting the appropriate medical care that you need? Can we help in that regard? And things like that.
So communication is very strong, which is awesome.
It is very strong. There's a lot of people out there that are suffering from this issue. They're suffering because they don't know what to do. There's a whole bunch of feelings of guilt. Financially, they're having all kinds of issues. And those are the things that we want to help with. We want to address. We want to at least provide direction with. So if you have those kinds of issues or questions, please call Paul, call myself. Let us know what we can try and do to help you.
Yeah, and right now we have Lorianne or Loriana is a comment. She's saying, "Hi, I'm a survivor/victim. We're sorry that you went through that. We are very happy that you're here with us and sorry that you went through that." So that's one of our comments that we have of someone that is watching right now. If you have any questions, please make sure to load them up for the attorneys here and however we can help as well.
And what was that young lady's name?
It's Loriana.
Yeah, Loriana, how you doing? If there's a specific question that you have during the show, let us know what that is. Let us know kind of what you're going through. I'd love to be able to kind of share your story with other people that are kind of going through the same thing. So please feel free to give us a comment, a question, a concern, whatever you'd like. We'd love to get some feedback from you.
And thank you for tuning in on the show as well, Lorianne. We do have a question coming in from Dan. So thank you, Dan, for tuning in. Who are you guys going after for what happened that night? I heard so many rumors and I would like to know the truth, which I understand the frustration also. I'm going to repeat that one more time. So who are you guys going after for what happened that night? I heard so many rumors and I would like to know the truth.
So that's a very good question. And there's been a lot of discussion on the front end about who do you sue, when do you sue them? Do you sue Paddock, the shooter? Do you sue the guys that manufacture bump stocks on guns? Do you sue MGM, Live Nation? But what we're doing right now is focusing on the 2 main folks or entities that we think that carry most of the responsibility, which was MGM and Live Nation. MGM being the one that owns the venue, and Live Nation being the one that organized and put on the concert at the time and failed to secure it properly, from what we're hearing. That doesn't mean that our potential claims against bump stock manufacturers and Paddock go away. In fact, Paddock's estate is being dealt with as a side issue, and we're involved in that as well. But based on certain laws and certain issues under Las Vegas law or Nevada law, we've chosen not to pursue Paddock at this time, but it isn't foreclosed.
So anything can happen in the future. This is not something that you're saying may be addressed right now, but maybe in the future it can. Is that what is an option?
It's definitely going to be addressed in the future.
Okay, perfect.
But we want to streamline things right now. We want to make things efficient right now. And the cleanest path is MGM and Live Nation.
And Paul brings up an interesting point. A lot of the clients that we're speaking to, they're very concerned about that particular timetable and how long it's going to take to get certain things accomplished. I think one of the things that Paul has talked about when we've talked about this privately is, okay, what's going to be in the client's best interest? What's going with regards to litigation, what's going to kind of streamline things at the same time, holding those people that are responsible, holding them accountable in the quickest timetable. And so I think that's one of the reasons why Paul and the rest of the attorneys have chosen this route.
Yeah, and so thank you, Dan, for that question, and we'll definitely follow up as well. And I know Jacob is another question that we're getting that's listening, and he's also asking, who do you guys believe was responsible for this? Which you kind of addressed that, and he's saying, wasn't this just a crazy person who was acting by himself?
You got to think in a bigger context than that. It's easy to blame the guy with the gun, but could there have been things done differently at the venue, by the venue owner, by the venue organizer, like Live Nation? And I think what we're finding out as we go along is absolutely yes, there could have been better security. We're hearing that there was only one means of ingress and egress out of that event, despite being multiple fences locked and things like that. So yeah, there's a lot of aspects to it.
So it's looking at the big picture. So it's not just zeroing in on just the shooter, but also looking at the big picture, all angles as well.
Yeah, I realize folks are going to want to be mad at Paddock, and that's understandable.
Mm-hmm.
But when you take a step back and go, could things have been done differently? I think they're going to say yes once we get through this.
Yeah, what I'm seeing in viewing some of the evidence is that there was a series of mistakes that made this situation substantially worse. And obviously, we're not going to go too much into some of the specifics there, but at least in my opinion, based on what I'm seeing already, a number of things could have been done differently to cause thousands of people less to have been injured than what particularly than happened that evening.
Yeah, definitely. And just like you said earlier, I mean, I've been to several concerts as well, and you don't really think, and you hear that sound, and you're just like, oh, it's normal. I just can't imagine what they were feeling.
Right.
Yeah.
In fact, that's one of the thing that one of the young ladies said, the young lady I was telling you about, is that it was after the first few rounds of shots, she was just like, okay, well, that's just normal stuff. It's nothing to be too concerned. But then she looked and she saw people actually falling to the ground, and then other people running away from them and trampling over them. All just absolute craziness there. I just can't imagine how it would have been that day.
Because just like the music's so loud, you think it's probably part of the concert.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. So thank you, Jacob, for that question as well. We have Tony on here as well. So hey, Tony, I'm one of your clients, and my concern is that it's going to take years, and I'm never going to get paid. Do you guys have a court date, or what is the time frame?
So the time frame generally for lawsuits is 12 to 18 months, but I mean, this is going to probably take longer. But what you should understand is that we're working as a big team with other people that are representing people that were killed, people that were shot, people that were trampled, people that suffered injuries like the lady that asked about earlier with, hey, I'm having nightmares and things like that. And so we've gotten together as a kind of larger force, because we're battling big multi-billion-dollar companies here. They're going to throw every resource they have at it. They've said on the front end, this is going to be a long, drawn-out fight with you guys. Mm-hmm. And so what people can expect is that there's hundreds of people that are going to file lawsuits, hundreds of people that are going to file claims, and how do courts deal with that? Courts will most oftentimes break off a chunk of claimants and say, we're going to try these cases first. So everyone just kind of sits still while this group, which is representative of the larger group as a whole. So you would have folks in there that suffered loss of loved ones that were shot and killed. You would have folks in there that were shot. You would have folks in there that suffered the mental type injuries. And those would be representative of everyone as a whole. And those claims would get litigated. You would take depositions on these things. Hire experts. All these things already in the works. And if you ultimately get to a trial, they would be tried, and then folks would look back at it and say, well, this would be indicative of what a death case is worth, or this is indicative of what a person who's shot in the leg or the arm or whatever, this is what is indicative of PTSD type case. And many times in these mass casualty type litigations, that ends up pushing everyone towards a settlement rather than everyone having to try their case.
And what you just explained, is that something common that you guys have seen for the viewers that are out there?
Very common.
Okay.
But just adding to what Paul has mentioned also, I think it's very important to note that, that we are representing these clients that have been victimized in this situation throughout the country. And we're not just gathering these cases and sitting on them. We're actually working these cases. We're talking with the clients. We're assisting with regards to their treatment, their care, answering their questions, all of those things. We are working up these cases vigorously in the attempts that, of course, that ultimately the clients will get justice. And also, Paul, let me ask you, is there something we want to let the clients know with regards to the bellwether situation?
Sure. You and I, as of last week, represent one of the families that lost their mother in the tragic shooting, and will be part of the bellwether system. So our client, I'm not going to name names, but lost his mother, who was shot while she was there attending the concert, and he will be part of that initial group that pushes through and is litigated right off the bat.
And obviously, the different courts can do things very differently with regards to how they handle that situation. But this is a very important case to us. We're taking it very seriously. But obviously, with the thousands of other cases that are potentially out there, this certainly doesn't hurt us with regards to the urgency of our cases moving to the forefront, depending on, of course, how the judge and the courts want to do that.
What it means is that we're going to be at every deposition. It means we're going to be at most hearings. It means we're going to be in there deciding what experts are hired, not hired, trial strategy, litigation strategy, deposition strategy. We're going to be on the front end of all this, given that one of our clients is going first. And that benefits the rest of our clients as well, quite frankly, because we'll have been an active player the entire time.
Excellent.
And I know Loriana was a comment earlier. She's commenting a little bit more so that you guys can reply.
Okay.
She says, I've been in contact with one of your offices. I'm going through a lot. I'm still dealing with my injury. I'm having problems finding someone to go talk to. And I just found out that they're releasing some body cam footage tomorrow from the entering the 32nd floor that night. And I'm freaking out.
Okay. Well,
So if you think this is something that we should privately reach out to her, by all means, we don't have to put it live as well.
Sure.
first thing I'd say, Lorianne, is, do the best you can to avoid that footage tomorrow. Try not to watch it. Try not to get sucked in on, social media and places like that it might surprise you and you might get hooked into seeing it. And then 2 is get with us privately, and if you don't have somewhere you can turn to medically, or psychologist or psychiatrist of that nature that you want to treat with, let us know, because we're working with all of our clients that don't have those means or resources or knowledge of that type of treatment to help them find someone in their area close to their home.
Again, thank you for sharing. That's really important to know. We appreciate you reaching out and giving us that information. Paul's let you know, of course, contact us, and we will get back in touch with you. We'll help you with whatever you need, as we do with any of our clients. So please, we appreciate that information, and thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that as well. And I know, you've traveled also to meet with some of these clients. So not just talking on the phone with them, but actually flying up there, whatever it takes, you guys are there.
Yeah, this is that kind of case, Madi. Whatever the clients need, this isn't, I keep comparing it to what Paul and I deal with many times with regards to a back injury or something like that. Lives were lost. People are grieving. And this is a very difficult and delicate situation. So I've flown out. I know Paul's flown to different situations. So whatever we need to do to facilitate and help our clients, we're certainly addressing that.
Yes, so definitely we will follow up, Loriana, with you on a private matter, not on live air, and then make sure that you have either the experts or whatever help that we can definitely get you as well. So I do have a question from Anthony. Anthony's saying, why are you lawyers getting involved in this tragic event? It's kind of a serious question. It's hitting home, I know, for both of you guys, and we could address it again. I know you guys talked about it at the beginning of the show. So Anthony, thank you for tuning in. Why are you lawyers getting involved in this tragic event?
Anthony, I certainly understand your position. I know many times you see lawyers kind of cash grabbing or whatever the case may be, and I totally understand that. But what you need to kind of understand that this is a different litigation. We have people that we're talking to that are truly suffering, that have lost loved ones, that can't live in their homes anymore, that they can't go to work, and they can't go on. Their lives have been destroyed by this situation. And so what we're trying to do is help get people's lives back on track. We're trying to make the situation safer for our clients, for ourselves, for the public at large. So while I do understand what the normal issues with lawyers and being greedy and everything else, we're trying to right some wrongs here. We're trying to address this situation, and quite frankly, this is the best way to get our point across, is to get people organized, get people informed, let people know what's going on, and do what we can with regards to the defendants to provoke change.
I mean, I'm here because clients have contacted us asking us to represent them. And there's not another profession that can do that in the court system. So I've done cases, mass casualty cases in the past. I feel like we have a unique skill set in that regard to help these kind of folks out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so thank you, Anthony, for loading that up, and hopefully we gave you a clearer answer as why we're getting involved. We're able to help a lot of those that were at that concert, and I know that's our attorney's passion, is to definitely help clients, potential clients, anyone that is out there that has been hurt or had some type of catastrophe as well. So thank you, Anthony, for that. I have Bridget coming up here, and she's asking, is your firm actually involved in the lawsuit of this case? How can this be if you guys are in Texas? Yes, you guys are Texas attorneys right now, but they love to travel. However, it's a good question for those that are watching right now from Las Vegas, Nevada, California. We reached out to all of you guys out there. So Bridget is asking a very good question. Is your firm actually involved in the lawsuit of this case? How can this be if you guys are in Texas?
Simple, direct answer is yes, we are 100% involved in the litigation of this case. The reason we're able to be involved in another state like Nevada is because courts have systems set in place where lawyers from other states, even if they're not licensed there, can be admitted there for the purpose of the litigation, and which we are.
And again, much like Paul, we represent clients, quite frankly, throughout the country. But many of our clients in this particular case are in Nevada and California, but people travel there, of course, from the concert from all over the country. So again, as Paul mentioned, we are able, and we are definitely involved in this litigation, and that's certainly something that's extremely important to us.
And both law offices have multiple cases, not just the MGM Las Vegas shooting, that are nationwide. They're both nationwide law firms. So you guys have several cases, not just with this topic, but other topics that you guys also help in other states. So it's kind of a common thing also. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're fortunate enough to represent over 6,000 clients throughout the country, and quite frankly, most of them are not in Houston. Most of them aren't even in Texas. So, representing out-of-state clients is nothing new for us. We've been doing it for the last 15 years. So, and we're going to keep doing it, especially in cases like this that deserve our specialized attention to address concerns that these clients are having.
So I've had the opportunity to take 2 bar exams, Texas and Louisiana. So I'm licensed in both of those states, admitted to all the federal courts in Texas and in Louisiana. And I have cases everywhere: Florida, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, New Mexico, California. I mean, it's probably half the states in the continental United States.
And Paul, and you're actually trying these cases. You are actually litigating many of these cases.
Correct. That means I'm flying places on a weekly basis, sometimes, unfortunately. But a lot of travel, but I'm happy to do it. There you go.
Awesome. So great question, Bridget. But we could definitely represent, even though we're in Texas, this is a common thing that you guys fly and represent a lot of cases that are nationwide. So thank you, Bridget, for that question. I know Stephen's coming up. Stephen's saying, so this is a long one, so I probably will have to repeat this one. So thank you, Stephen, for the question and comment. I attended the concert with my parents and my brothers. One of my brothers was shot and badly injured, and this destroyed my family, who lost everything in Des Moines. My parents have lost hope that anything will come of this. What would you tell my family? That's a good, it's a deep question. I have to wrap my head around that. My heart just dropped when I read that. But I'll read it again. So I attended the concert with my parents and my brothers. One of my brothers was shot badly injured, and this destroyed my family, who lost everything in Des Moines. My parents have lost hope that anything will come of this. What would you tell my family?
Let me feel this one, Paul, if I could. if I'm not mistaken, I believe I spoke with Stephen even over the weekend, and I can tell you his situation is particularly compelling. I believe his brother was shot, changing his entire life. He was hospitalized for several months. I think that his mom, of course, was doing what moms do and pretty much abandoned everything in Des Moines to come down and take care of her son. Tough and very difficult situation financially. These guys have been destroyed by this because they're not working. They had good jobs and incomes, and of course, that all changed after that day. What I would tell Stephen and his family is, look, let somebody fight for you. Let somebody help you with this. This is too much of a burden for you to be holding by yourself, and it's certainly not something I would let go if I were in your position. You guys need a lot of help, your brother especially, but even your parents need assistance. But get that help from someone who's going to fight for you. I love this case. It's an unfortunate case, but Paul and I are spending an exorbitant amount of money on this case because we believe that families like yours deserve justice. You deserve answers. You deserve help. And so what I would tell you again is get help from somebody who's going to support and help you through this process.
I've actually had to answer this question a few times over the years where it's a similar situation where it's destroyed our family and things like that. And what I tell people when they ask that question is, look, it's your job to focus on your family and what your family needs. Let us worry about the legal aspects of it. If you don't want us calling you, if you don't need us to talk to you on a day-to-day or weekly basis, focus on your family. But there will come a time where this is going to come back around when you've dealt with the grief, the hurt, the pain, and things like that, and your attention turns to, well, somebody could have done something different. And you don't want to let that time pass where you've done nothing, where you could be letting us worry about the legal part, the case part, things like that, so that when your attention does come back to that, we're already ahead, we're already litigating it, and you can say, now I want to be involved with this heavily.
And putting myself in the shoes of the family, like, is there any services or anything that we offer to the family members that are also going through stuff mentally and, they had to deal with probably a phone call and receiving that? Is that something that there's an option for that, or is that something that they had to have been at the concert? How do you guys?
Well, typically speaking, it's something that I'm sure Paul's going to have some comments on this too. Typically speaking, you need to be you have to be there to get help. Okay. However, there have been some circumstances and situations where we provided additional assistance to people that are clearly that have been victimized by this. One example I have is there was an aunt that I spoke to, and her niece got killed at the concert. Quite frankly, as far as the law is concerned, I'm not sure that she has a particular claim, but because of the state that she was in and the situation that she was involved in, we got involved. We helped her. We provided her direction. We helped with getting her some assistance and some help. So it's a slippery slope with regards to certain whether you're included or not included. But the most important thing, as far as I'm concerned, I'm sure Paul has some insights on this also, is just making sure we get the families the help that they need.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take Stephen's specific example. So
right.
he and his family are caring for a loved one that was shot and not killed, right?
Correct.
Helping his family actually helps him in the long run, right? So to the extent they need some kind of psychological help, that probably helps him too. And I think we're happy to do that kind of thing, even if they don't technically have a legal claim.
Okay. So Stephen, thank you for uploading that question, as well as we want to wish your brother a speedy recovery and hope he gets well as well from the injuries that he has suffered as well. Jennifer is loading up a question saying, I was there that night, and after the shooting started, I felt like we were trapped in a maze and there was no way to get out. Are they allowed to keep us in there like that? a great question. I'm going to go ahead and repeat that again. It's a little longer. Jennifer saying, I was there that night, and after the shooting was started, it felt like we were trapped in a maze and there was no way to get out. Are they allowed to keep us in there like that?
It's probably not a question of whether they're allowed or not allowed to keep you in there. It's more of what led up to you being trapped in there. Was that negligent? Was that grossly negligent? Those will be the questions that will be asked. Was there more than one means that they could have let people in and out of the venue other than just the one we're hearing about? And so that will all get stirred into facts and evidence, and it will go in to determine whether Live Nation and MGM were negligent.
And if I could add to that a little bit, from the young lady that I went to go visit down there and spoke with, and that's one of the things that she brought up repeatedly, was the fact that that she was running this direction, it was closed off and locked, and then she had to run back this direction, closed off and locked, and bodies are falling and all over the place, people are getting trampled. She had nowhere to go, and she told me at one point that they had to scale a fence because all the exits were blocked or encumbered by something, and there was just no way out.
I can't even imagine that. And I know certain concerts that I've been in, it's not just the attendees, it's also the employees. There's people at the bar, there's people taking pictures. Sometimes they have even vendors. So there's just a lot of people involved in this type of situation. So thank you, Jennifer, for that question. And that also visual, I just can't imagine being trapped.
To go to your point of the diversity of the types of people that there, Darren and I, we represent a fellow that was a first responder at the scene. So he shows up. It's a really compelling story to hear him tell it. But he shows up to treat some of the people that were shot in the first waves of gunfire. And then while he's treating people, while he's trying to save people, another round of fire comes in. So people dropping all around him.
That's crazy. And yeah, definitely condolences and hope everybody that is injured, and if you're watching, definitely has a speedy recovery as well. Loriana, that just commented earlier, commented again, a question now. What if my insurance coverage is covering all my costs? I don't know if that's something you guys have experienced. Good question, Loriana. So again, we want to thank you for staying tuned in our show. She's the one that put some comments in earlier following her story, and she's asking, what if my insurance coverage is covering all my costs?
I think that's great. Yeah. Great. It's just, not everyone is as fortunate as that. And so I would tell you, if you're comfortable with your doctors and your insurance company is paying your bills and you're happy with that, continue to do what you're doing. To the extent that they stop, like some insurance companies we know about dealing with insurance companies.
Absolutely.
Call us. Let us know how we can help you in that way.
And even though her insurance is covering it, we can still help. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. Quite frankly, Lorianne, I wish most of my clients were in the position that you're in, because a lot of people don't have good benefits and aren't able to seek the physical doctors that they need or the psychological care that they require. So I'm very glad that you're in that position. Probably get us all that information. Of course, we're going to get all that information for you, Lorianne, as we move forward. But that's going to be a part of your individual case. Each one of these cases is going to be treated individually. We're going to look at all that information, and of course, we'll account for all the insurance information and all that as we move forward with your case.
And I know just so far in the show, we've talked about several scenarios. So every case is different. Whether there were certain places or certain wounds or have lost their lives, every case is different. And we treat every case as an individual for what the research is behind every case. Is that correct?
In fact, there's some significance to whether someone was shot in the first wave of gunfire versus the second wave of gunfire and treated differently in that way.
Oh, wow. Well, that's, thank you, Loriana, again, for keep on giving those comments and questions. We definitely love to hear from you. Stephanie is also sending a comment. Is there a timeline? Has it started? Stephanie, thank you again for watching our show. She's asking, I know you kind of went over that a little earlier. She probably just tuned in. Is there a timeline, and has it started?
My personal opinion is always as soon as possible is your timeline, because this thing's going on right now. And if you say I'm going to wait, I'm going to put it off, I'm going to think about it and things like that, it's just your case is going to be behind. So the sooner you can act, the better.
Paul, is there a particular statute of limitations issue that we need to be concerned with these guys?
Not in the immediate future,
Okay.
but in Nevada, there's a few years, you got a couple of years to file.
Okay.
But and we're actually going to be filing a case in the next couple of weeks, the bellwether portion of the file.
But just like as Paul mentioned, although you do have time, as I recommend my clients, especially in serious cases like this, the quicker we can get to you, the quicker we can get you involved and get you the help that you need, the quicker we can kind of get our arms around what your case involves and move your case forward.
And also, the quicker if they need any type of treatment or any type of expert, we can also get that addressed quickly as well.
Right.
So it doesn't get worse progressively.
Right.
Yeah. So thank you, Stephanie, for that comment. So I have a question coming up. This one's from Brad J. So Brad J is saying, what happens if we go through this case with you guys and we lose? I haven't worked since that night and I can't afford to pay another bill because of this. It's a great question. It's definitely an option. I know you guys can definitely speak on that based on your experience. We have 10 years, 19 years here. But Brad J is asking, what happens if we go through with this case with you guys and we lose? I haven't worked since that night and I can't afford to pay another bill because of this.
Well, you don't pay us any bills. That's how our contingent fee arrangement works. If for some horrible reason we were to lose this case, which I don't think we're going to do, you would owe nothing. Yeah, we pay all the expenses and the lawyers will just have to write it off at that point.
Right. And just like Paul said, this case is particularly compelling. Again, I've been practicing for 19 years. And the last case that I felt this kind of passion was in the BP explosion. That case took a while to get resolved. And we represented a whole bunch of people in that case, and people thought we were crazy for taking them on. But we did it extremely successfully. And I will tell you this, we feel 10 times as strong as this case, in this case, that our clients deserve justice and will get justice. So that's why we feel very compelled to tell you, let us fight for you because we'll take care of business.
And you just mentioned the BP explosion, and that one was in Louisiana. Is that correct? So that wasn't correct, not in the state of
Off
Texas.
the coast of Louisiana.
Yeah. So it wasn't in Texas either, even though we have 2 Texas attorneys that are ready to fight nationwide.
Texas was heavily involved in that one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, and just to kind of ask a question to either Attorney Paul or Attorney Darren, have you guys experienced or seen something like to this magnitude of the MGM Las Vegas shooting? We're talking 10 years of experience, 19 years of experience. I'm really taking you guys back on your experience just so they can know a little bit more about you guys. And everything is different. BP is a different experience. This is a different. The California wildfires was also a different experience.
Sure.
I don't know if you guys want to.
So as far as death toll, I mean, when you bring up BP, that is immediately what comes to my mind too, because of the environmental impact, because of the amount of people it put out of work, fishermen, the business interruption and things like that. But 7 or 8 people I think died in that. So it's different in the standpoint of we've got a ton of people that lost their lives in this. And so as far as a mass kind of lawsuit or litigation, it's not one's popping in my mind right now.
No. Yeah, BP was a crazy tragedy. I mean, we represented clients from Florida to Louisiana, all over the country with regards to this issue. But yeah, this one is particularly unique, very unfortunately unique, and I just can't think of one in this particular category. Yeah,
and just like we mentioned at the beginning, so there were 58 that passed away and over 700 that were injured. So these are like really high counts from the concert, and there's still people out there that probably feel lost, don't know what to do, and they don't know where to go. And there's people that have already gotten help. Have you guys have any type of feel on that, or anybody that's out there, or any experience on that?
Well, I don't know that I agree with those particular numbers. I know that's what is being put out there because, again, we're seeing thousands of people that attended the concert that didn't suffer physical injuries, but the tragedy of seeing dead people there and don't know whether your cousin that you went to the concert with is alive or dead. They're suffering from these things emotionally, and there was thousands of people that suffered those as opposed to the physical injuries also.
Yeah, that's a good point. So not just physical, but also mental. So that's definitely when we combine the two.
Emotional, mental.
Exactly. Those are different numbers. I have Michelle here who's giving a question. If we just signed on, can we see the whole video? Absolutely, we will. Right now it's running live. We have about 15 more minutes. As long as questions are still coming on, we're still going to be running on the show. However, right after the show is over, we post it on our D. Miller and Associates Facebook page, as well as the Pierce and Skrabanek PLLC as well, Facebook. So either one will post it up, the video, so you are able to watch it at a later time if you missed the first half. Great questions. You guys are not the only ones that have the same type of questions, so it's always good to listen to it and even share, because you just don't know if you have any friends that went to the concert that couldn't even watch the show, sharing it so they can hear what's really going on the back end and on the front end as well.
Absolutely.
So thank you for that comment. That's a great comment and question. So a lot of people probably watching now would love to know how to watch the beginning of the show. So Thomas is loading a question as well. My sister lives in California and went to the concert. Her friend was killed and she feels guilty and has totally changed since the accident. Can you guys do anything to help her?
Absolutely, we can help her. And we represent a number of people from California that were at the venue that day and on site whenever the shooting started. So absolutely we can help. Her claim would fall under what we've been talking about, the emotional, mental type injuries. We definitely can help.
Yeah, and there is clients that we have kind of with a similar situation that either a friend or a family member was with them and we are representing. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, it's something that we're seeing far too often. Where people have just went that day to try and enjoy the concert and now are still suffering 7 months later, can't sleep, can't eat, don't want to work, and these people deserve help. So if you have those kinds of questions or issues, certainly let us know and we'll certainly point you in the right direction.
So thank you, Thomas, for that question. And I know, like you just mentioned, people travel to go watch this concert. I mean, some diehard fans definitely will take a flight or even take a road trip and go to the concert with their girlfriends or their guy friends. And so there's people from all over that were affected of a catastrophe that happened in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Yeah, and that's one of the other things that was really important to me because, look, as I mentioned earlier, I love Vegas. And Paul and I, we travel a lot. And I want to make sure if there's something I can do to make this process a little safer, or to ask the right questions, or quite frankly, make sure that things are done the right way in future, I certainly want to make sure that we've done everything we can to address those situations.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, having kids, right? I'm sure you take your kids, like I take my kids on a lot of trips. Vegas is kid-friendly now. It'd be kind of nerve-wracking knowing that there's safety issues, security issues, things like that, taking your kids.
Right.
And just a question around the concert where people actually heard the gunshot sound. Are those people around the actual perimeter of it? Is that an option too?
I would say call us on that.
Okay.
Call us. Let's talk about it. Like we said, every case is individual. Let's talk it through. Let's talk about every facts. Where were you coming from? Where were you going? What did you actually see? What did you actually hear?
All those details matter, and the injuries as well also matter. Every case is different, like I said earlier. Andy from Kansas, see, I think Andy's listening because he said, I'm from Kansas. I'm saying, wasn't the shooter just another regular customer that stayed at the hotel? That's what I heard. How is the hotel supposed to be responsible for him when they didn't know what was going on?
Well, we can kind of scratch the surface on details of what we know so far. There's going to be a lot of stuff that, it may be frustrating, but we're not going to talk about right now because there's litigation strategy involved in what we're going to do, the type of questions we're going to be asking the hotel, and we don't want to give them a preview of all that. But no, he wasn't just a random patron. He was a Vegas regular from what I understand, and he was there 3 or 4 days and had trucked in guns for those 3 or 4 days. So, I mean, there's a lot to that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot here that at a minimum deserves us to ask more questions, to investigate, because there's a number of the things that we've already learned is very concerning. And so, as Paul said, we really can't get too deeply involved in what those specific questions are. But I do believe that there's a number of agencies, companies that are going to owe us a very specific explanation as to what happened that night.
And he should also understand we're not just suing MGM. It's also Live Nation, which was the actual company that organized, set up those fences, made the determinations on who was going to be entering and exiting where out of that venue out on that night.
Yeah, because organizing an event, it takes a lot of prep behind the scenes, and it takes months. They probably do it a year before, so that's definitely, I can understand the Live Nation. So thank you, Andy from Kansas.
And, and just something that they need to be very concerned with is the safety of their patrons. Mm-hmm. And what happens if there's a fire or some issue, who knows what? And I'm just not sure that enough was done to protect our clients and the rest of the public that was there that night.
Yeah, and it's crazy because we have a lot of events and you kind of have to think the worst case scenario because you just never know, and you want to be ready for all of those scenarios for sure. So again, thank you, Andy from Kansas. We have time for one more question that's coming in. Unless you guys have more questions, load them up and I'll squeeze them in. But I want to get this one in because Cindy is loading up a question. So who are the people / businesses that you guys are going after? I know you guys mentioned this a little bit earlier. They're probably just tuned in. So who are you guys, who are you guys saying is responsible for everything that happened?
But we think at the end of the day, there's going to be multiple parties, entities that are going to be responsible. The focus right now, based on long discussions, bouncing it off a lot of people, is that the most efficient and best way to proceed forward right now is to immediately file a suit as to MGM and Live Nation, which doesn't mean that we're not going to pursue some of these other parties down the road.
Yeah, and our clients, we're definitely keeping them updated on what's going on, so we definitely let them know any updates coming up. Huh?
Like I said at the beginning, we write letters, it seems like weekly, about what's going on. I try to have a protocol in place in my office where there's a lawyer in my office. One of the 2 to 3 people that are working on it are calling our clients on a weekly basis.
So again, guys, although there's many people involved, there's much moving parts, as Paul has suggested. Communication is key, and we take it very seriously. So please, if there's some issue that's not being addressed, let Paul know, let myself know, and we'll do what we can to make sure that it gets taken care of for you.
So Michelle from earlier, she's just put up another question. Have any of the attorneys visited the site after the shooting? And I know I personally went to Las Vegas in December. I was there, but that question is more for you guys. So have you guys been to Vegas site after the shooting?
In a peripheral kind of way, because you're not allowed into that room yet where he shot from, and there's certain aspects of the venue that you're not able to access at the moment. But in a peripheral way, yes. And we will be going once there are organized, coordinated site inspections in the litigation.
So it's just a little premature for that. So from the outside, yes, but we're going to get more deeply into that as the litigation continues.
And you guys have been to Vegas, just not at the site. You guys have been since the shooting. So you guys are always traveling, and you've met with several clients there as well, too.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so they've been to Vegas, just not the actual site, Michelle. But we'll definitely, once those get cleared, then we'll follow up with our clients and let them know any of the updates going on.
Absolutely.
So if there's questions come in, we're still going to keep going, but I want to ask the attorneys here live on the show, if you had to leave the viewers or anybody watching today with any type of closing, either statements or quotes or just a heartfelt message, what would you guys tell our viewers that are watching?
I would, this is a tragedy. If you're dealing with this, we're very sorry about what you're going through. This is a case that's very dear to Paul and myself. If there's information we can provide you, assistance, questions, certainly let us know. But we take this case very seriously. And if there's any way we can help you, let us know, and we'll be glad to try and do the best that we can for you.
I would say kind of what I said earlier in the show, which is let us kind of worry about the legal parts of this. Lawyers get a lot of a bad rap sometimes for being kind of heartless or not having a good bedside manner, but focus on your family, focus on your injuries, focus on your mental health, and let us worry about the legal aspects of this case and pushing it forward in an efficient way for you.
Perfect. So I want to thank all of you guys that have tuned in on the show today, that have liked the show as well as shared the show. Today was a different topic on Talk to Me Tuesday, a very sad topic that we're talking about MGM Las Vegas shooting. So I want to thank all of you guys. We have joined forces, D. Miller and Associates, PLLC, and Pierce Skrabanek, PLLC as well, joined forces to really tell the story for you guys and go out there and really represent you guys in the MGM Las Vegas shooting. So I want to thank every single one of you guys for watching. I'm your host, Madi B. Till next time.
Bye.